Hi, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Grounded Grounds. It is an absolutely beautiful but breezy day today. As you can see, I'm not at the studio, but where am I? I happen to be at the equestrian side of a local park here where I live, and it is absolutely gorgeous out. But look up there. It is a beautiful bright light in the sky. A lot of us know what that is. It's called the sun. And we know it's the sun. We know it's daylight. We know it's daytime out. Why? Because the sun comes up and night is gone. Complete darkness is gone and the light shines and it gives life. It is one of the most beautiful things you could ever imagine, just seeing the beautiful blue sky and a bright sunshine. But what if I were to tell you as a believer that we are also called to be light, to be shining? And so today we're going to look at a very well-known passage that Jesus, when he's talking about salt and light. Today we're going to be looking at light. We're going to look at what Jesus says about light and what kind of a light we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to do with it. So go ahead and grab yourself your favorite beverage and join the conversation. Hi, I'm Robert, and I am honored that you've come to join the channel today. If you don't mind, look down below. If you like what you see, there's a subscribe button down. You can go ahead and click on it and the notification bell. And that way you get a notification every time there's a brand new video uploaded to the channel. We're going to be uploading videos regularly, usually on Tuesdays and Fridays. So we're going to start uploading videos to the channel. And also, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up as well. Light. We all know what light is. We all know what the sun is. The sun shines its bright light down. You can't hardly look at it. It's bright and it's beautiful. It means there's life, there's daylight. It just brings a sense of joy to everyone knowing that you can get outside and just enjoy it. Go outside and go for a run or a walk. Here where I live, there's a lot of people who own horses and they like to ride their horses during days like this. You can get yourself a bicycle, scooter, motorcycle, whatever the case may be. Listen, if you like fishing, it may be a little breezy today, but fishing's great. Just go outside and just enjoy it for a minute. But we want to talk about light for a minute. The great source of life as we know it comes from light. If you look without the sun, the earth would be dark. Matter of fact, in the beginning, if you look at Genesis chapter 1, what does it say? Before the sun, before everything else was created, the earth was dark, covered in darkness. And now look at the sun. When God created the sun, he created the moon, the stars, and everything. It gives light, and light gives life. And what Jesus, when he's talking about us being light, we're going to look at that. Go ahead and grab yourself a Bible. We're going to be looking at Matthew chapter 5, starting with verse 14. So go ahead and pick it up, open a smartphone app, whatever the case may be. You go ahead and just turn right to Matthew chapter 5 and verse 14. It says, "You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light shine before men, so that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." What does it mean, the word light? If you look all around us, it's not hard to see, especially in times like this when there's a quarantine and a lockdown going on, that the world is just submerged in darkness. And I'm not talking about a physical darkness where there's no light. I'm talking about a spiritual darkness, the likes we've never seen in our generation or generations past. And it just continues to get worse. And when Jesus talks about that light, he says, look, I'm the light, and I give you the light, and I want you to shine it. And why does he say, shine your light before men? Let me ask you this. If you've ever been into a dark room, maybe around Halloween, or maybe one of those breakout challenges that people like to participate in, you ever been into a room or maybe a cave or somewhere where it is totally pitch black? Can you see anything? Several years ago, my family and I took a tour of Mammoth Cave, and part of this tour, what they did is that they brought us to this cavern and they told us to turn off all the lights. You literally couldn't see your hand before your face. You couldn't see anything around you. And there was no way you could walk around. There's no way, it doesn't matter what you feel for, you couldn't feel anything. You couldn't see anything. You couldn't get around. You had no clue which direction to go. And that's what Jesus is starting to allude to here, Matthew chapter 5, verse 14. This entire world is covered in darkness. There are people walking around who don't have a clue on what to do. If you don't believe me, look at the fact that there are so many abortions happening right now. You know, it seems like in a time of quarantine where, you know, everything's shut down except for everything that brings life and essential, and yet abortions, which are 99.99999% fed by choice, is essential. But it's not, it's an elective procedure. Look at everything else that's going on. Look at the divorce rate. Look at the domestic abuse and assault that's going on because of the lockdown. For 2 years, I led a Bible study group at a local boys' home in another town in Hopkins, in Kentucky, where we lived. And I got to see firsthand the amount of destruction that happened as the result of parents who, for lack of better words, didn't take care of their kids. I've seen that kind of destruction. You hear horror stories of children who are raised and literally living in filth, and it just gets worse. You know, I went to a country in Africa last year called Rwanda, and I got to see how the people in the various villages lived. We spend more time as Americans arguing about, oh, I've got to have my movie theater, I've got to have my bar, and there are people starving out there in the world. There are people that are hungry, they're cold, they don't have a place to sleep, and yet we're so consumed with me, that we forget about everyone else. That selfishness is darkness. When Jesus says, you are the light of the world, what is he calling? He calls Christians to be different, to be unique. And how is it that people are supposed to know what the light is and how to get to the light and how to receive the light? That's what Jesus, when he talked about the end of verse 16, he says, let your light shine before men so they may see your good works and glorify your Father in his heaven. If you want to make a difference in this world, shine your light before everyone else. Unfortunately, there's so many Christians or people who call themselves Christians that what they do is they say that, oh, they received the light, and then they hide it under a bushel, right? What good does it do? If you're a Christian right now and you claim to be a Christian and all you're doing is going to church every week, or in the case right now, virtual church every week, and you are so indifferent to the brokenness around you, that's hiding your light under a bushel. If there's an opportunity for you to serve, if you've got plenty in your house and there's a need at the local food pantry, and you say, oh, I don't want to fool with it, I'd rather go fishing instead, that's hiding your light. If you know that there's a need that's going on in the world around you and you simply ignore it, you become indifferent to it, that's hiding your light. And you want to know the dangerous thing about it? Hiding your light like that is just as dangerous as not having it at all. What did Jesus say in Revelation chapter 3 when he talks to the lukewarm church? You're neither hot nor cold. I wish you were either hot or cold, but you're lukewarm, and I'd rather just vomit you out of my mouth. Here's another illustration for you. Go in your bathroom or your bedroom or living room or wherever your case may be and flip a switch on. What happens? Light, right? If you flip the switch on and the light bulb doesn't work, what good is it going to do you? What do you do with it? You simply unscrew the light bulb and throw it away. And why? Because it does no good. It does no good at all. And yet many of those who call themselves Christians are just like that. They really aren't Christians at all, and they're not shining any kind of light because they don't have it, or the fact that they're a flickering light bulb. They're just on and off randomly, however so they choose. At work, they're one way. At home, they're another. At church, they're somebody completely different. You think that they're a God-fearing individual on Sunday, and Monday they turn around and leave work, go to the nearest bar and get drunk. Or they come home and they beat their wife and kids. And yet on Sundays they put on a happy face. That's called putting your light under a bushel. It does no good, just as no good if you have no light, if you are just a flickering light bulb. One other thing that I wanted to bring up as far as light is concerned, when he's talking about a city set on a hill cannot be hidden, people will notice. If you have the light of Jesus inside you, if you really truly do, people will notice. But if people look at you and they think that you're just like everyone else, they don't trust you, you're just as hateful, you're just as mean, or you're a hypocrite, what good is that? If you look back in the earlier couple of verses when he talks about that you are the salt, but if the salt has lost its flavor, what good is it? Listen, if your light bulb is just randomly flickering, then what good is it? My friends, I'm not trying to be harsh with you. I'm not. But God calls us for a specific purpose. He calls us to be light. He gave us His light. He gave us life. He gave us life everlasting. And then He says that the next time around, He says, as soon as you get that life everlasting, that light inside you, then go share it with someone. Don't sit around. There's too much work to be done. Jesus says that the fields are white with harvest. Pray to the Lord of the harvest, because the harvest is plenty and the workers are few. And unfortunately, it seems like we want to become this Americanized Christian where the only thing that matters is I'm not going to die and go to hell. Here's something I want to tell you. If you're treating your salvation like fire insurance, is it really salvation? I want you to think about that for a minute. If you treat your salvation, the salvation that Jesus Christ, if you've cheapened it so much and said, oh, well, I'm a Christian, I just don't have to worry about anything else. If that's the attitude that you may not say it, but if that's the attitude that you're having right now inside your heart, oh, I don't have to worry about anything, do a real deep look inside your heart and say, God, have I really surrendered my life to you? Don't hide your light under a bushel. Don't be that flickering on and off Christian who just randomly changes his mood every chance he gets. Let your light shine before men. And let it shine as bright as the sun up there, and that way that no one can mistake the darkness is gone. And the light lives in you. Because if they see that, they're going to want it. And they're going to want it bad. And God's going to give you wonderful opportunities to share that light with someone. So go ahead. Don't be the flickering bulb. Be like the sun. Always on, always bright, ready to give life. Until then, my friends, take care and God bless.